In the shadow of divine truth, I dedicated my life to understanding God's creation. I was born in 1225 and embraced the Dominican order, merging faith with reason. My writings illuminated the harmony between faith and intellect while guiding souls towards the divine. Through Christ's teachings, I strove to unveil eternal truth, nurturing a world hungry for understanding and grace.
The Life and Legacy of St. Thomas Aquinas, A Journey of Faith and Reason. St. Thomas Aquinas, also known as the Angelic Doctor, was a Catholic priest and theologian who lived during the 13th century. He is considered one of the most influential philosophers and theologians in Western Christianity, and is widely recognized as one of the greatest thinkers of the Middle Ages. His teachings and writings continue to have a profound impact on the Catholic Church and the world of philosophy. Thomas Aquinas was born in the town of Roccasecca, in the Kingdom of Sicily, present-day Italy, in 1225. His family was of noble descent, and his parents were Count Landulf of Aquino and Countess Theodora of Teano. At the age of 5, Thomas was sent to the nearby monastery of Monte Cassino to begin his education. It was here that he received his early education in Latin, the language of the Church, and the language in which all theological works were written. At the age of 14, Thomas continued his studies in Naples, where he studied the liberal arts, including grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. His studies were interrupted when his family was involved in a war between the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II and the Pope. In 1244, Thomas joined the Dominican order against his family's wishes and began studying under Albertus Magnus, a renowned philosopher and theologian. Under the guidance of Albertus Magnus, Thomas developed a passion for philosophy and theology. He quickly became known for his high intelligence and ability to think deeply and critically. He was also known for his humility, piety, and dedication to his studies. In 1248, Thomas was sent to study at the University of Paris, where he continued his studies in philosophy and theology. While in Paris, Thomas became a close friend and disciple of Saint Bonaventure, who was a prominent Franciscan theologian. Despite their different religious orders, they shared a common goal of reconciling faith and reason. This was a significant challenge in the medieval period, as the Church often saw reason and faith as opposing forces. However, Thomas and Bonaventure believed that reason was a gift from God and could be used to better understand the teachings of the Church. During his time at the University of Paris, Thomas also began to study the works of Aristotle, which were making a comeback in the West after being lost for centuries. Aristotle's works had a significant impact on Thomas's thinking, and he incorporated many of Aristotle's ideas into his own philosophical and theological writings. He also wrote commentaries on Aristotle's works and used them to support his arguments for the compatibility of faith and reason, in 1252, Thomas returned to Naples to continue his studies and teach at the university. He spent the next 3 years teaching and writing, producing some of his most famous works, including the book on the truth of the Catholic faith against the errors of the unbelievers, and on being an essence. In 1256, he was appointed to the chair of theology at the University of Paris, where he continued to teach and write for several years. In 1269, Thomas was called to Rome to serve as the papal theologian and advisor to Pope Gregory X. During this time, he wrote his most significant work, the Summary of Theology, which is considered his masterpiece. This work was to be a comprehensive guide to Christian theology, covering topics such as the nature of God, creation, ethics, and the sacraments. Unfortunately, Thomas was unable to complete the Summary of Theology before his death, on March 7, 1274. While traveling to the Council of Lyon, Thomas fell ill and was forced to stop at the Cistercian monastery of Fossanova. It is said that on his deathbed, he was visited by a vision of Christ, who said to him, "You have written well of me, Thomas. What would you have as your reward?" To which Thomas replied, "Nothing but you, Lord." He passed away shortly after, on March 7, 1274, at the age of 49. After his death, Thomas was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church in 1323. His writings were also greatly admired by the Church, and he was later declared a Doctor of the Church, the highest title bestowed on theologians by the Church. His works were also instrumental in the development of the Catholic Church's teachings on natural law, which is still a fundamental principle in Catholic moral theology. St. Thomas Aquinas' legacy continues to influence the Catholic Church and the world of philosophy. His teachings on the compatibility of faith and reason, his development of natural law, and his emphasis on the importance of education and learning continue to be relevant in today's society. His writings have been studied and admired by theologians, philosophers, and scholars for centuries, and his influence will undoubtedly continue for many more years to come.